Well then, you just knew that was going to happen, didn't you? Now, I'm not complaining about what they've done in the slightest here, but it is just a theory which I do think absolutely makes sense from a business perspective. Because if you're not aware, the opening weekend in the Championship, there's no Premier League fixtures on, which means there's going to be a lot more eyes on the EFL and a lot more eyes on the Championship, which is obviously a great opportunity for the EFL, for Sky Sports, to have a lot more eyes on the Championship and get people more interested throughout the season. So what do they want to do? What do you think? It's got to be to get the best fixture and get some really good games on for that first game week. Now, by the way, if you're a Championship fan and you're not subscribed to this channel, please do hit that subscribe button. Drop a like as well if you enjoy the video. Please do hit that subscribe button, by the way. We do daily Championship content, so if you wouldn't mind helping me out, hit that subscribe button. But as you can see on screen now, is how the fixtures are meant to be decided. This is how it's always been. It says that they have a pairing grid which defines the dates that will be at home, and for every date in the season, the fixture computer knows which clubs are at home and which clubs are away, and then it will randomly mix it up and determine the matches. So obviously, as we know, as it says there, the fixtures are completely randomised. So this is just a supercomputer which puts everybody together, meaning that anything can happen. But when you look at the opening day fixtures, is it a case of anything can happen? Because you are going to get, of course, some games that you might often get a big game in the first game, which is obviously very realistic. But when you look at all the fixtures put together, you start to think, is this the supercomputer, or is this something a little bit more into it? And as I say, what do I know realistically? I'm just saying this from my perspective of this. So what do I know? I'm not absolutely right with this. I might not be absolutely right. But when you look at this and you put it together, it makes sense. So as I say, they want eyes on the Championship. First game week of the season, there's no Premier League football. You want to be showing some very good fixtures, very entertaining fixtures that people are then going to tune into, which then means later on in the season, or in the next few game weeks after, it might spike their interest in the Championship a bit more. So what do you go and do, right? We've got the opening fixture on Sky Sports. Sky Sports have obviously selected these games, but by the way, every single game is on Sky Sports, on Sky Sports Plus, so all these games will be on TV, which is strange because they have that 3 p.m. blackout, which just isn't a thing in this first game week for whatever reason. So, starting off on the Friday night, you've got Birmingham City versus Ipswich. Now, who's been the talk of the town recently? It's Birmingham City. They've obviously got promoted from League One, 111 points, the record-breaking points total team, best team in League One history. Just got going to be building a new stadium in 2029. Serious ambitions to get to the Premier League in for 2029 at least. They want to be in the Premier League by the time their new stadium's built. So they've got serious ambition. They're going to be challenging this season. Do they want Birmingham City to be come up against, say, a mid-table team, like someone like a Preston, even my club QPR, or an Oxford? Portsmouth wouldn't be bad, to be fair, but someone like that. Someone that's it's just a bit of a dead game in terms of the opposition. It's not exactly the most entertaining game to be picked for Sky Sports. They're playing against Ipswich. Now, as I say, Birmingham just got promoted. Big ambitions. Some big signings, potentially Damari Gray coming in, we're looking at now. Statement sign and statement team. Who do you put them up against? Ipswich Town. Put them together. Relegation team. Everyone's saying they should walk the league. They're the favourites for the title. You put them together and you think, oh, that's such a good Sky Sports fixture. That's such a great way to open up the Championship. And yes, it could happen by chance. It absolutely could happen by chance. But it is very, very unlikely. To put these two together on the first game week, it's a perfect way to start the Championship season. As I was saying, I'm not complaining about this in the slightest, because I want eyes on the Championship. I want entertaining games to kick off the season. This is the perfect way to kick off the season, in my opinion. A relegated team up against a newly promoted team that's got such big ambitions. Absolutely great fixture. As I say, no complaints, but it is a little bit dodgy, right? Then we go on to the 12:30. You think Charlton, Watford, nothing to think about that. Coventry versus Hull, same, nothing to think. Southampton versus Wrexham. Again, as I said, if you put Wrexham up against a mid-table team from last season, is it as entertaining? No, it's not. So you've got Wrexham, of course, another team, the absolute talk of the town. You've got a League One team coming up, back-to-back promotions. Can they get the next promotion? So many eyes already on them, and Sky Sports already giving them so much attention. What's a perfect excuse to get them on TV? Let's put them up against a team that's just got relegated from the Premier League and should be up there at the end of the season. Do you know what I mean? It absolutely, again, makes perfect sense, that fixture does, to put those two together. Because you've got a team that's on the up and loads of people are talking about, let's give them an excuse and put them up against a team that is relegated from the Premier League. Again, it makes sense. Then you've got the 3 p.m. kickoff, which, as we know, The 3 p.m. blackout isn't a thing in the first game week in the Championship. I'm guessing this wants to get as many eyes in the Championship as possible because it's a great opportunity for the EFL and for Sky Sports to get more eyes on the Championship. So we have the 3 p.m. kickoffs. Then you go on to the late kickoff. To be fair, this is a nothing special game, to be honest. Sheffield United versus Bristol City. It's a decent game, obviously. They were in the playoff semi-finals against each other last year. And then on the Sunday, we've then got Leicester versus Sheffield Wednesday, which I think, again, Sheffield Wednesday is a big talking point right now with Chansiri, the owner. What's going to be happening with them? Is Danny Rowe going to be there? And there's a lot of question marks with Sheffield United. And then putting them up into Leicester side, which, again, has got so many question marks about them. Again, more problems with the ownership. Both teams have massive problems with the ownership. A team coming down from the Premier League, a team at Sheffield Wednesday, which is a big club in the Championship and gets talked about a lot. Let's put them together and you've got a talking point fixture. So you've got there as your three out of your 4 fixtures, which is pretty much like the most you can get. Because I don't know what... I mean, they could maybe, if they really wanted to, maybe put like kind of another rivalry in this first game week to really make it like a perfect game. But you look at the games that have been selected. Birmingham versus Ipswich, as I spoke about. Relegated Premier League club, League One team with a lot of chat about them. First game. Then you got 12:30, you have the main event, which will be Southampton versus Wrexham. 2 teams that have got a lot to talk about. Wrexham obviously getting promoted, Southampton getting relegated. Will Still's first game. So much talk of these games. That gets put together. Then you obviously have the 3 p.m s, but then you have the late kickoff. Sheffield United versus Bristol City. Fair enough. It's a rematch of the playoff semi-final, but it's nothing, as I say, not like some crazy good game. But then you've got Leicester versus Sheffield Wednesday. Both problems with the ownership and potential points deductions for Leicester. It's another talking point there. Sheffield Wednesday could even get a points deduction at some point. Who knows? Both got problems with the ownership. Put them together. It makes absolutely perfect sense to me right there between all them opening games. And as I say, if I'm in charge of the EFL or I'm on Sky, I absolutely want this to happen. As a Championship fan, I want this to happen. But I look at it from then. If I'm an Ipswich fan, and say, if it isn't absolutely random, you then get Birmingham away in the first game of the season. Do you really want to play against Birmingham on the first game of the season? I'd say that's genuinely one of the games you'd want to avoid on the first game specifically, due to the fact that Birmingham got so much momentum behind them, and as I say, so much positivity in that club. Do you want to play them first game of the season? Now, I'm not saying that Ipswich can't go and beat them, because they absolutely can, but if it's not randomised, and then you see Ipswich come against them in the first game of the season, I wouldn't be all too happy. So I'm looking at it from that perspective. And even Wrexham, you're playing against Southampton where you'd love to have an easier team than that. As I say, I don't know. This could be absolutely random computer and this has just come up. But when you look at the fixture, I do find it hard to believe to get all these big fixtures. I remember last year on the Sunday, I can't remember the other games that were on TV, but the first game of the season last year was like Sheffield Wednesday versus Plymouth. And like this year, you've got a completely different game. Like Sheffield Wednesday versus Plymouth was just like a normal Championship game. It was the main talk about was that it was Wayne Rooney's first game. That was probably the reason why they put it on Sky Sports. But I look at those fixtures and think, could it be rigged? Could it? Or am I just absolutely waffling? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I don't think it's absolutely crazy and an outrageous thing to say. I'm seeing a lot of chat about it on Twitter, and as I say, it does kind of make sense. And as I say, I don't blame the EFL. I don't blame Sky Sports. There's no Premier League football on. You may as well try and get as many eyes and as much attention on the Championship at the start of the season. It makes sense from a business perspective. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Let me know what team you support and what team you've got in the first game and how confident you are going into the new season. Honestly, can't wait for Championship Football 2 coming. It'll be absolutely incredible when it does arrive. So hope you enjoyed the video. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.